Hi folks, how are you doing? It's Pete back with what will be the third of my VC videos, and as I promised, this one is going to be dedicated to the releases from the Svart label. The Svart label is based in Finland, and apart from releasing new music, also dedicates itself to releasing Finnish prog and jazz fusion albums from the 70s, and they do a superb job of that. In the last 2 or 3 years I've bought a ton of stuff from them, so it'll probably take a couple of videos to get through them all. But I'd like to start with a couple of series, the ongoing series that they're doing at the moment, the Jazz Liisa and Pop Liisa series. Now, between I think 72 and 77, the Finnish broadcasting service had a program going once a week, an hour I think program, which was devoted to live concerts in front of a small audience, I think of about 100. One week it would be a jazz act, the following week it would be a pop act. Now, for pop, read prog rock most of the cases, or jazz rock. In fact, some of the bands could have appeared in either one. Before I start, I'll apologise up front for my bad pronunciation, because Finnish is I find a difficult language to pronounce correctly. Anyway, let's start. First, I'll start with the jazz series first. I think there's going to be 16 or 18 releases in each series eventually. They've got up to 12 currently in each. I don't own all of them, unfortunately. I own the first 5 in the jazz and the first 9 in the Pop Liisa series. So we'll start, as I said, with the jazz ones. The first, number 1, is by the Unisol Quartet, and it was recorded in September 1973. And you'll notice as I go through these that the releases have a house style, which I love, and some great artwork. They're beautiful artifacts. When they're first released, they do a limited number in coloured vinyl with a poster, and this happens to be one of them. I think of the 14 that I've got, I think I've only got 4 on coloured vinyl. This first one is on orange vinyl, and I'll show you the poster. The poster just depicts the front cover art. There you go. That's what this poster looks like. As I say, the poster only comes with the coloured vinyl version. But also with every LP comes an info sheet telling you about the radio show, and then on the other side a bit about the band, the tracks they're playing, and short biographies of the musicians. As I said, the first one is by the Unisol Quartet. I think they only ever made one album, which was in 1975 with a slightly different lineup than this one. But I'll give you the musicians. This is where the bad Finnish pronunciation comes in, so you can see, because a lot of these names reoccur in both series, so you'll see. On this one, you've got a Paroni Pakanainen on soprano, alto and baritone saxophones and flute, Olli Avenlahti on piano and Fender Rhodes electric piano, Marka Levanen on electric bass, and Reino Leiner on drums. Jazz fusion. Very good album though. Where did mine go? Second in the series, I'll have to excuse a bit of glare here, is by the band Taivan Tempeli, which I think means Temple of Heaven or something like that. And this was recorded in November 1973. It's just, again, it's a jazz fusion, 3 long tracks, and the lineup on this one is Matti Jakola on flute, Olli Avenlahti on piano and Fender Rhodes electric piano, Pekka Rechart on electric guitar. I think he eventually joined Wigwam at one point. Marka Levanen again on electric bass, Uppi Sorvali on drums, and Tapani Ikonen on conga and percussions. Excellent. Number 3 comes from probably the most famous rock musician or jazz musician to come out of Finland, at least as far as I know, and that's Jukka Tolonen and his Rambling Jazz Band. And this was from April 1973, and it's just 2 long tracks on each side, a warm trip with Taya and Rambling. Jukka Tolonen is a superb guitarist who first played, I think, with Tasavalan Presidenti, probably the second most famous band to come out of Finland, and also with Wigwam, the most famous band. Alongside Jukka on this, you've got Mika Koskinen on trumpet, Pekka Poiri on flute, alto and soprano saxophones, Pekka Pohjola on violin and electric bass, more about him later, Heikki Virtanen on electric bass, Reino Leiner on drums and percussion, and Ronnie Österberg on drums and percussion. Great jamming on here. The 4th in the jazz series is by the Ko1 Quartet from April 1975. Now I think these came out of a theatre group, quite a political theatre group, and this is the first of these albums that actually features vocals. The lyrics were originally written by a Swede, Claes Andersson, but then were translated to Finnish for the band. Now, it does say they're a quartet, but it actually mentions 6 people in here, but then 2 of them are the vocalists, I think. So you've got Aija Orpana on vocals and violin, Pertti Melesniemi on vocals and percussion, Iiro Ojanen on piano and electric piano, Jukka Hauru on electric guitar. Now if you saw my first video, you'll have seen that I showed the 2 solo albums I've got by Jukka Hauru. He is an excellent guitarist. Tapani Taminen on bass and Ari Valtonen on drums. This is a bit more varied than the others. It goes through a number of different styles of jazz, I think, in this. But the first track particularly I enjoy because it's got with its prominent bass and the male and female vocals on it. It's got a bit of a Azul, a magma feel to it for me. And I really enjoy that. But the rest of it is excellent, with some superb guitar playing by Jukka Hauru. The final one in the jazz series is another fusion album by the Yubu group from October 1974. Now the Yubu group were named after their leader, Juhani Putanen, who plays the violin. And being a violinist who's playing electric jazz, he gets compared to people like Jean-Luc Ponty and Jerry Goodman. With him in the group are Sakari Kukko on soprano, sax, flute and talking drum, Jukka Linkkola on Fender Rhodes electric piano, piano and organ, Jana Luhivuori on electric guitar, Ilkka Hanski on electric bass, and Upi Sorvali on drums, percussion and bird whistle. Nice stuff. Right, onto the pop Liisa series. And the first one starts with one of the most famous bands from Finland, Tasavallan Presidenti. This is from September 1973. Again, just two long tracks, and here one each side. Tasavallan Presidenti play progressive rock, but with a very strong jazz feel to it. And on here you've got Iiro Raitanen on vocals and percussion, Pekka Poiri, great musician, on alto and soprano saxophones, flute, piano and electric piano. You've got Jukka Tolvanen, yet again, on electric guitar, Heikki Virtanen, again, on electric bass, and Vesa Aaltonen on drums. You will be hearing more from them probably in the next video when I go through the Tasavallan Presidenti albums that I've got. The second one is a name we've come across, Jukka Hauru and the Super Kings. And this is from October 1973. This features again superb guitar, but put up against superb violin from the leader of the Yubu group, Juhani Putanen. Also on here you've got Olli Avenlahti on Fender Rhodes and electric piano, obviously Jukka Hauru on electric guitar, Heikki Virtanen again on electric bass, Vesa Aaltonen on drums, and Raino Laine on congas, marimba and glockenspiel. Great progressive rock. The third one is by probably a band that most prog rock fans will know, the most famous band probably to come out of Finland. That's Wigwam. And this is a live show from November 1973, and it features probably their most famous quartet, which is Jukka Gustafsson on vocals and organ. And again, in the first video I showed the two solo albums of his I'd got. Jim Pembroke on vocals and electric piano, Pekka Pohjola on bass, and Ronnie Österberg on drums. I think this was recorded just after they did the Being album, and I think shortly after this Gustafsson and Pohjola both left the band. This has got actually 5 tracks, because you get a version of Imagine to start off with, fairly rough version to be honest, that was done as a sort of, I don't know, just a warm-up before they got into the concert proper. Excellent. Oh yeah, I forgot to say that. I think in the liner notes it says Jukka Gustafsson says that this was probably one of the best gigs that they ever played, so worth having. The third one, if I can pronounce their name, is by Taivan Vuhoi, and it's from December 1973. And I think this band never actually got to release it. Sorry, Glaire's pretty bad. Got to release an album. Glare is bad. On here, this is sort of Frank Zappa influence, Hot Rats jazz mixed with some prog. And you've got Tarmo Rosenlund on vocals, Pert Päivänen on alto sax and flute, Sami Hurmerinta on electric guitar and backing vocals, Urpo Sitonen on electric bass, and Ismo Räisänen on drums. They actually do a version of Zappa's Orange County Lumber Truck at the end there, 7-minute version. Number 5 is our old favourite again, Jukka Hauru. This is one of the sessions where the 2 bands played. The other one is Nono Söderberg's band. The Jukka Hauru track is just a single 17-minute track. And on there again you've got Juhani Putinen on violin, Iiro Ojanen on piano, Jukka on electric guitar, Tapani Taminen on double bass, Esko Rosnell on drums, and Ari Valtonen on percussion. This really smokes, it's superb. The Nono Söderberg, he's a guitarist as well, an excellent guitarist. And again, somebody will hear of again later. His is just 2 long tracks, 8 and 10 minutes long. And along with him on electric guitar, you have Raijo Ilnanen on soprano saxophone, Isa Kottalainen on Moog synthesizer, Hova clavinet, string synthesizer, Fender Rhodes electric piano. Another name we'll hear of again. Harri Merilahti on electric bass, Rupa Koistinen on drums, and Esa Rosvold on congas and percussion. Nice stuff. Number 6 in the series is probably one of my favourite bands that come out of Finland, and that's Finn Forest. And this is again a session with 2 bands. First is Finn Forest, the other one is Ellen Korju. This was recorded in February 1977. Now, the Finn Forest one is just 2 long tracks. Finn Forest, I've heard described as sort of like Camel meets Return to Forever. So that good. And they're made up of Pertti Pokki on Fender Rhodes electric piano, ARP Odyssey synthesizer, Pekka Tegelman on electric guitar, Jarmo Nikala on electric bass, and Jussi Tegelman on drums. Ellen Korju are more of a hard rock with prog elements sort of band. And they are comprised of Kari Taminen on vocals, Juha Unkila on tenor saxophone, Pekka Taini on electric piano, Jukka Sirenius on electric guitar, Veli-Pekka Pessi on electric bass and backing vocals, and Veikka Hutio on drums. That's good. It's good stuff, but really, this album you get for the Finn Forest. Number 7 is the band Kalevala. I think they were around for quite a while. They started off as a sort of straight rock and roll sort of band, changed the name I think to Kalevala, and then took a more progressive direction, which is probably what this is. This is what this is like. This is from July 1973. And we have on here Harri Saksala on vocals and percussion, Saksari Kukko on tenor saxophone and soprano saxophone and flute and electric piano and electric bass, Matti Kurkinen on electric guitar and mandolin, Juha Salonen on electric bass and electric guitar, and Alf Forsman on drums. It's good stuff, this, but I think they were a band that went through so many different lineups. I think did a number of albums, but which I think after they did this sort of period, they returned to a more straightforward rock style. But eventually, I think all those lineup changes took their toll, and they packed in, I think, in about 1977, something like that, I think. Number 8 is a band that only ever produced one album, a sort of psychedelic space rock called Obus, I think it was called, which I don't have, unfortunately, and that's Nimbus, and this is from January 1974. And this is, again, it's good prog rock. You've got Pasi Saarelma on vocals, Pekka Rautio on organ, Harri Sulamo on electric guitar, Juuna Jokiranta on electric bass, and Matti Jokiranta on drums. On this, they finish off with a version of Greenslade's Feathered Friends. And finally, because we're coming out to only 20 minutes again, another name we've had already more than once, the Jukka Tolonen Band. And this was recorded in October 75, and to be honest could be in the jazz one just as well as the pop series. It is jazz fusion, prog jazz fusion. There's 3 tracks on side 1 and 1 long track Django on side 2. And usual names with him, you've got Pekka Poiri on soprano saxophone, alto saxophone and flute, Isa Kotalainen on mini moog, Hammond B3 organ, string machine and clavinet, Heikki Virtanen on electric bass, and Esko Rosnell on drums. Anything with Tolanen's name on is worth having. Well, I think we'll pack that in for now for this video, and I'll carry on with the others releases, including 3 box sets to go through in the next one. I hope you found it interesting. Please feel free to comment and let me know. If you want to know anything more about any of these, just ask. Thanks a lot. Bye.